Welcome to the KeyShot course. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kareem. We'll be your instructors throughout this journey.
This course is designed to guide you step by step through learning KeyShot. Instead of dropping you into a sea of isolated tutorials, we've built a structured path that shows you what to learn and when to learn it.
Building KeyShot skills in the right order is critical to successfully tackling complex projects. In this series, we start with the basics and each lesson builds on the last. So you're not just memorizing buttons, you're learning how to use KeyShot effectively in a way that sticks. One of the most important things we focused on is project-based learning. Every project in this course combines multiple KeyShot skills into a cohesive workflow. Just like in the real world, you'll work on projects that gradually increase in complexity, and you'll practice applying KeyShot in scenarios that mirror professional use cases.
To help you follow along in practice, we're providing all the 3D models you'll need. You can work alongside us step by step, or go back and revisit the projects whenever you want. Along the way, we'll also explore contextual lessons. These cover rendering concepts that go beyond KeyShot itself and contribute to a better understanding of visualization as a whole.
By understanding the why behind the how, you'll be able to make better creative decisions, which means your skills won't just stop with pushing buttons inside KeyShot. You'll learn how to evaluate your work, troubleshoot when things don't look right, and approach rendering with a designer's eye.
Think of it this way: learning KeyShot gives you the tools, but learning rendering fundamentals gives you the judgment to use those tools effectively. That's what elevates your work from technically correct to visually captivating.
With that foundation in mind, let's dive into the first lesson and get familiar with navigating KeyShot Studio with confidence.
In this lesson, we're diving straight into KeyShot Studio and taking a quick look at the UI interface. The goal for this lesson is to get a general sense of where you can find important information, functions, and tools within KeyShot Studio, while looking more closely at some of the features and tools you are most likely to use when you're just getting started. The first thing we'll talk about is the Welcome window, which is currently open in the center of the screen. If you're opening KeyShot Studio at any time, this is always the first window you'll see. You can also open or close this window at any time using the hotkey W. Along the left side, you'll find the Windows navigation tabs. The first is the Recent tab, which allows you to navigate through your recently saved scenes. In this case, this is a clean opening and I have no previously saved scenes to view here. But as you save scenes, you'll be able to quickly access them from this location, and this will also be the default tab open after your initial program use. The next is the New Scenes tab. Here you'll find sample templates that allow you to quickly stage your models in pre-made CAD scenes provided by us here at KeyShot. The objects you see in the thumbnails are just examples of object size for each of the templates. However, when you open the scene, there will be no model and the scene will be ready to accept whatever CAD you'd like to stage within it. The Getting Started tab is the default tab open on a clean installation. This is where you'll find demo scenes you can explore, which show off specific KeyShot Studio features or workflows. And lastly, the Learning tab gives you access to KeyShot resources, including easy access to our website, YouTube channel, the program manual, and the KeyShot forum. Now I'll go ahead and close the Welcome window and we'll get into navigating the program itself. The large empty space you see on screen currently is called the real-time view. This is where you'll stage your scenes, light objects, and apply materials to your CAD. This will be the main space you work in when you're using KeyShot Studio. However, you are going to need some panels and tools at your disposal to actually build out your scenes. If you navigate to the top of the program window, located on the far left of the ribbon, you'll find a drop-down called Workspaces. This is where you'll be able to choose between preset workspaces, create custom workspaces, and choose between light and dark themes for KeyShot Studio. With the drop-down menu open, you can see a variety of focused workspaces that are geared towards specific tasks such as animation or lighting. My personal preference has always been to stick with the default workspace and then open different views and panels as needed. I'll go ahead and select default, and you'll notice two panels pop up on either side of my real-time view. The library panel on the left and the project panel on the right. These will be your most used panels when working within the program. Let's start with the library panel. Across the top of the panel, you'll find several library tabs. From left to right, we have the Material tab, where you'll find the default material library. From here, you can drag and drop materials into your real-time view and apply them to CAD within your scene. Next is the Colors tab. Here you'll find color libraries from industry standard color systems that you can sample or apply to your scene as needed. The Textures tab provides default textures that can be applied to create custom materials. Here you'll not only find texture maps, but you'll also find textures for 3D paint brushes, normal and displacement maps, as well as light maps and gobos, which we'll get into later in this course. The Environment tab, which houses default HDRI environments that you can drag and drop into your scene for quick lighting solutions. The Backplates tab, where you can find background images to stage your products in your scene. a Favorites tab where you can easily reference assets you've favorited for ease of access in a single location. And lastly, the Models tab. Here you'll find some native geometry you can use for staging your scenes. You may also notice I have some models saved here that are not part of the default geometry that you would find under the Backdrops and Geometry tabs. These are models I've already materialized and saved here, or have downloaded from KeyShot's cloud library. More than likely, the majority of your time will be spent in the Material and Environments tabs in this panel, particularly when you're first getting started. While the Library panel is going to be your main source to materialize texture and begin lighting your scenes, the Project panel is going to be how you control and customize those elements after application. Let's take a quick look over there and get a little more comfortable navigating the panel. From left to right, we can start with the Scene tab, which is currently selected. Here you'll have easy access to all the items in CAD within your scene. You'll be able to hide and unhide parts, as well as see the materials applied to those individual CAD components. The Material tab just to the right is where you'll be able to edit your individual materials, create multi-materials, adjust textures and labels, and open the material graph for greater material customization. The Camera tab is where you can add, delete, and organize cameras within your scene. In this tab, you can also make camera adjustments and control depth of field. Next is the Environments tab. This is where you'll be able to edit, adjust, and organize any HDRIs you've dropped into your scene. You can also use this tab to create custom HDRI environments and save them for later use. The Lighting tab is where you'll go to control general lighting parameters and choose between lighting presets. Presets here are designed to quickly enable light parameters that are suited to specific subject needs. For instance, using the Interior preset for an architectural interior, or using the Jewelry setting for gemstones. Within this tab, you can adjust parameters for any of the existing presets, and you can even create custom presets of your own. And lastly, the Image tab. Here is where you'll set your resolution or aspect ratios, make image adjustments, and add image effects like sharpening, bloom, or vignetting. You also have more in-depth controls under the photographic settings if you'd like to control things like tone mapping, curves, or color saturation and vibrance. Both the library and project panels would be two elements of the program that you spend a considerable amount of time interacting with during the entire rendering process. However, there are a few more things to be aware of when navigating around the program. On the ribbon above the real-time view, you'll not only find the workspace dropdown that we discussed earlier, but you'll also find several other incredibly useful tools and functions. You can toggle between CPU and GPU mode by clicking the GPU button on and off. You can allocate core usage through the usage dropdown, pause and unpause your real-time view rendering, and you also have quick access to functions like denoise and the geometry view. Aside from that, the ribbon is where you'll find the Tools flyout menu. This is where you can directly access several tools that are incredibly helpful when working with your scenes. Here you'll find everything from quick access to the Move tool to material importation and object splitting. You can even simplify meshes, retessellate NURBS, and create physics simulations. Lastly, you can also add or remove items on the ribbon by right-clicking the empty space along the top and selecting which buttons are checked on and off, allowing you to further customize your experience to better suit your personal workflows. With that covered, let's move to the last major UI element of the program window. If you look along the bottom of the real-time view, here you'll find the Toolbar. This is where you'll find buttons that allow you to toggle the library and project panels we just discussed on and off, along with several other windows and output functions. For this lesson, we aren't going to get into all of them, but we will take a look at some of the ones you are most likely going to be using when you're first getting started. Starting all the way from the left, you'll find the Cloud Library button. This button will open the Cloud Library and give you access to non-default assets that fall under the asset categories within your library panel. What's unique about this library is you'll be able to download materials from partner providers such as Moltech or Tiger Coatings, and you'll also get access to fully materialized models to help stage your scenes without needing to source and build them out yourself. If we now move toward the cluster of buttons near the middle of the toolbar, you'll find the Animation button. Once toggled, the animation timeline will open above the toolbar. Here is where you'll be able to control your animation's timing and properties, as well as create new animations using the Animation Wizard. There are also other ways to create animations within KeyShot, but for now, just toggle the Animation button to access the Animation Wizard. Next, let's jump to the far right of the toolbar, where you'll find the AI Shots and Screenshot buttons. Screenshot is self-explanatory. Hitting the button will generate a screenshot of the real-time view in its current state and will save it to your renderings folder. When you hit the button, the file path it was saved to will pop up along the bottom of the real-time view. Just to the left of the Screenshot button is the AI Shots tool, which opens a generative AI tool within Studio that allows you to generate AI backgrounds, reimagine your scene, or create images from scratch to use for backplates and rendering. And lastly, let's talk about one of the most important buttons in the entire program, the render button. When selected, the render window will open in the center of the real-time view. This window is essentially where you'll set your rendering parameters for your different output types and decide how your computer will process the outputs. The default tab open when the window is launched is the Output tab. Under this tab, you can set parameters such as output names, file save locations, formats, and resolution. The output settings will be slightly different for each output type, which you can select across the top of the window. The two main ones to concentrate on for now are the Still Image tab and the Animation tab. Those are the two that you are most likely going to be using when getting started. Under the Options tab on the left, you'll find your render mode and quality settings. Here you can determine whether you'll render using CPU or GPU and determine your output quality settings. I recommend working with maximum samples for predictability and consistency. However, if you are on a time crunch, you can use the maximum time setting, and KeyShot will render the image to the maximum quality possible within a given window of time. Once you have everything set, all you have to do is hit that render button on the bottom right, and your finalized image will begin rendering. There are plenty more tools and features within KeyShot that give you even more control of what's possible within your scenes, but the UI we've covered during this lesson will give you a strong foundation to navigate the program, materialize and light your scenes, and start visualizing incredible imagery for your KeyShot projects. In our next lesson, we'll jump into Studio with our first project of the course and learn how to build out a simple scene from start to finish using the UI we covered in this lesson.